Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Day Trip to Wine Country Virtual Edition. I'm Sam Kimball from New York Wine Events, and you're looking at the front door and the tasting house of Suhru Wines, which is in Cutchogue, New York, on the North Fork of Long Island. It's a charming little village, and Suhru is quite an extraordinary winery. They make wines from grape varieties that they love, not always the usual suspects like Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc, but even some ones that most of us don't normally drink. Stainless steel fermented white wines and full medium-bodied, soft tannin, fruit-forward red wines. So the ones that are a little bit more finesse and a little bit more interesting and nuanced. And they work hard to make well-balanced, high-quality wines for everyone to enjoy, whether it's for special occasions or for everyday drinking. You can learn all about Suhru Wines online at suhruwines.com. That's SUHRU wines.com. And welcome, Shelby. Good afternoon. I was just giving a quick primer and an overview on Suhru Wines. It's actually a winery that's run by and founded by one of the most prominent wine-making families on the North Fork of Long Island. Really cool history, which I'll let Shelby tell you about. And Shelby, I just told our guests and audience a little bit about what the calling card or the unique factor is about Suhru at the website suhruwines.com, SUHRU wines.com. So welcome, Shelby. First off, I have to ask you about the name Suhru. Where did that come from?
Yes. So Suhru Wines was founded by my parents, Susan and Russell. So our name itself is a combination of both of my parents' names. Susan, who started the winery, that's where the Sue comes from. Russell, my father, who's our winemaker, is where the Rue comes from. And then H in the middle is coming from our last name. So you just take the three and just kind of combine them together to get Suhru.
That's awesome. And tell me a little bit more about the winery, the operation. I've changed my background here to show some of the grapes from the amazing North Fork region that the wines are made from. But give us a little bit of background, a little history. Now we know what the name means. I was always puzzled, and then somebody, I think your father explained to me one time.
Yes.
But now that we know the name means, give us a little history from the beginning and up to the present. How did it get started? Who started it? And what's the sort of quick overview of the history of Suhru?
Sure. So like I said before, Suhru was started by my mother. So my father has been a winemaker on the East End for about 30 years now. He is Australian born and started his career in Australia before working in New Zealand, France, and coming to the US. So my dad had been working in wine for quite a bit, and my mom had been really getting into wine more and more as a result of her experience being married to a winemaker. So in 2008, my mother decided that she wanted to take a more active role in the winemaking process and decided to open Suhru, which has been a really wonderful thing for my family. It was a really great way for us all to work together. It was originally started as a partnership between my parents, like I said, but in the last couple of years, both my sister and I have gotten very actively involved in the business. So it's become a full family business, which is great.
And you grew up on the North Fork, yeah?
I grew up just off the North Fork, actually, but very, very close. So I grew up in East Moriches, which is just off the South Fork. But my dad, having worked in the wine industry on the North Fork since before I was born, my second home has always been on the North Fork. So some of my youngest and earliest memories are all centered around wine and the vineyard and wineries, which was really great.
That's awesome.
My dad was originally the winemaker for Pellegrini. So my sister and I both really grew up spending quite a bit of time running through those vineyards and spent quite a bit of time in the winery itself as well.
And you came back to the East End of Long Island after having worked in the city for a while, yeah?
I did. So I left for college. I went to the Midwest. I went to Michigan State. So I lived in the Midwest for a couple of years and then came back to New York and moved into Brooklyn. I worked in book publishing and then for Brooklyn Winery, doing marketing for both of those businesses. So I got a little bit of experience outside of the direct industry here, and then was able to bring those skills back to the North Fork and to my family business.
That's great. And of course, we knew you when you were working at the winery in Brooklyn as well.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
you were the first Hearn that we knew. So now, who is the winemaker at Suhru Wines?
Yes. So my father makes all of our wines, which is really great. And my sister has actually been taking a much more active role in that process as well. So she actually just returned from a harvest in Australia. She was working in South Australia for the last couple of months. And has been working with my dad in the winery more and more over the last couple of years. So my dad is our winemaker, which is really wonderful. So for all of our wines, we're really able to take his, our personal preferences as a family, as well as his unique winemaking style, and impart that into the wines that we make.
And because I've got these beautiful vines and grapes that you make the wine from behind me here, tell me, where do the grapes come from? Where do you get the grapes?
Yes, so at Suhru, we source our fruit, which means that we are working with a number of fantastic growers across the North Fork, and actually one in the Finger Lakes as well. Because we are sourcing our fruit, what that essentially means is that we are not limited to the fruit that comes from one single vineyard, but are able to hand select the fruit that grows best at each particular vineyard and grows best across the region. So what we're doing for all of our wines, like I said, we don't own a vineyard with Suhru. Suhru does not have its own dedicated vineyard, but we work with a number of grape growers across the North Fork. And with that, we have full control over everything that happens in the vineyard. We're very actively involved in the vineyard process, and regularly are meeting with vineyard managers and owners to really make sure that what's happening in the vineyard is exactly what we want. In addition to that, we've been very lucky for almost all of the vineyards that we've worked with. We've been working with the same vineyards and getting the same fruit from the same vineyard, from the same plot, from the same vine since the beginning, which is really wonderful.
That's great. And tell me, what makes Suhru special and unique in the region? How do you position what you do? Because winemaking is a creative process, right? It's very much about choice of different grape varieties and the fruit that you use and buy, but it's also about blending and about aging and fermenting. So there's a lot of variables and creativity that goes into it. What's the Suhru magic? What's the position you occupy in the region and in the world of wine that makes your wine unique and distinct?
Yes, so at Suhru, what we're really striving for is to make high quality, approachable wines. So all of our wines, like I said before, because we're not tied to a vineyard, we're hand selecting the individual varietals that we're choosing to work with. And we only work with the varietals that we individually and as a family collectively all love. So it's really, really nice for us in that we're able to really truly make the wines that we love. So with all of our wines, we're making crisp, bright, dry, stainless steel fermented whites and medium bodied soft tannin reds. So all of our wines are really designed to be very food friendly, very approachable, and very affordable. So our goal really is to be able to make high quality wines at an affordable price that you can feel good about opening for a celebration or just on a Tuesday at home.
That's great. And as far as taking a little tour of Suhru Wines, I thought I'd show everybody the tank room, and that's part of the production facility you guys use to make the wines. But also, this is, of course, the tasting house where people come and enjoy the wines. It's open now for, I believe, curbside pickup on certain days of the week. Is that right?
Yes, we're currently doing curbside pickup on Fridays and Saturdays from 1 to 5 p.m. And then we're also doing a curbside pickup the rest of the week by appointment. So you can always shoot us an email or give us a call, and we're happy to meet you for curbside pickup at any time.
Or go online and simply order the wines and have them shipped, yeah?
Yes. So in addition to the curbside pickup, we're offering free local delivery to both forks, as well as $10 flat rate shipping to anywhere in New York, Massachusetts, and Florida, which are currently the 3 states that we ship to. But as of, I think about next week, we should be adding quite a few more states to that.
Well, as they say out in Minnesota, shut the front door. $10 delivery
Yes, it's a good deal.
All of those places. That's incredible. That $10 delivery is amazing. So if I buy 3 or 4 bottles of wine, it's only $10 to deliver, even if I live in Boston.
Yes. Yes.
That's amazing. That's a headline. I think we have a news flash. We need to put that up on New York Wine Events social media channels later in the day. That's huge.
Yes.
Just for fun, I'll show everybody the tasting room, the tasting house inside. Once things are more back to normal and we're no longer all on quarantine, there's a beautiful tasting house interior and area to come in and enjoy the wines, learn about them, also buy them. Behind me is one vantage point looking across the space. It's lovely. And then in the background as well, here is another vantage point within the tasting house itself. So I want everybody to know that, because eventually, of course, we will be back from quarantine and the tasting house will be open again. You know, from there, I think, well, speaking of tasting, Shelby, you ready to taste some wines and show the group a little bit about what we got going on with the wines that come out of Suhru?
Yes, let's do it.
That'd be awesome. All right, so everybody, we're going to start, correct me if I'm wrong, Shelby, we're going to start with a Pinot Grigio, which is both available in cans and bottles. It is to the side of me here in the video, and I think Shelby's going to actually talk us through that wine, but also show us not just the bottles, but the cans. There's the can.
Yes.
Love a can.
Yes. So we, as of actually just about a month ago, we've released this particular Pinot Grigio in both bottles and cans, which we've released our rosé, which we'll taste next, in cans as well. But the Pinot Grigio it's really been our signature wine. We've been making this wine since the beginning. So like I said before, we're sourcing our fruit. We're picking the varietals that we really love best. So Pinot Grigio is a varietal that we really felt got kind of the short end of the stick. Pinot Grigio is a fantastic varietal that people have a lot of times have very strong opinions about, either in a positive or a negative light. So across the board with all of the Suhru wines, what we're looking to do is make very fruit-friendly, approachable wines with a twist. So something slightly unexpected, something a little bit different in the bottle. So with our Pinot Grigio, a lot of the times people think of Pinot Grigios as being a little bit lighter, a little bit sweeter, perhaps. Our Pinot Grigio, however, is really big and bold. We're doing more of an Italian style Pinot Grigio.
I love that.
Really, yeah, really nice, bright, crisp flavors. And like I said, we do have the cans now, which is fantastic. So that does make it nice and easy.
How much Pinot Grigio is in one can? Is that 12 ounces?
So the can itself is 2 glasses of wine. So it's half the size of a bottle. So okay. 2 cans is a full bottle, which is great. Makes it super convenient for when we can all go places again, for taking to the beach, going to barbecues, all sorts of fun things like that, which is great.
I love it. Cans are huge. And I think, you know, of the different generations drinking wine, the millennial generation in particular has an affection for the format of the can. And I think it's really great that's that, and you have a couple of others like the rosé that are available in that. So speaking of which, let's move down the tasting spectrum. Should we talk about the rosé?
Yes. So the rosé is a blended rosé. So this is predominantly Merlot blended with 30% Cabernet Franc. And with our rosé, we do a slightly different blend each year, but maintain those two varietals. So with the rosé, we're making this in the French Provence style. So we're doing a 6-hour skin contact soak. So we're really looking to get that really light, soft salmon hue to it. So you get really nice, robust, fruity flavors with just that light, crisp flavor. So with this, it is completely dry. We're doing an entirely dry rosé, which is a good overall characteristic of all of our wines. We're doing dry wines across the board. But our rosé is going to be nice and fruity, a little bit of strawberry and peach notes in there, some really nice bright acidity, but overall just a really nice, light, easy sipping wine for summer.
Awesome. And I'm going to put this up on the side of me here is the bottle format of the same rosé. And I will remind everybody that rosé, one of the questions that comes up from just people who enjoy wine but aren't experts is, why is the rosé pink and not red or white? And that's because, for example, this is a great example where the wine is made from two types of red wine grapes. They keep the skins on after crushing the grapes and making the juice for a couple of days. And you strain those skins out. The red wine grapes skins are what give red wine the dark red color. So if you leave them in for a couple of days but then pull them out, you get this in between pink between the red and the white. So
absolutely. So for our red wine, our Ember, which you're going to taste next, for that we do a 2-week contact soak. So it's 14 days spent on the skins, whereas for our rosé, we're doing a very quick soak. It's just 6 hours, so very, very quick.
Oh, it's not even 2 days.
Yes, it's very quick. We just want that light, nice flavor, that little bit of fruitiness, that really nice light color. So very, very quick, which gives you that really nice, light, soft, refreshing flavor.
That's awesome. I'm going to show everybody this bottle image so that they can see. This is the Ember, and then I'd love to hear about it. I'm a fan of all wines, but when I see a beautiful red wine in a bottle and a nice label like this, it's particularly enticing, and I think a lot of people share that sentiment.
Absolutely, you can't go wrong with red. You really can't. So our Ember is our Bordeaux blend. So this is predominantly Merlot blended with Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Petit Verdot. And very similar to the Pinot Grigio, the blend for this wine does change not to the Pinot Grigio, very similar to the rosé. The blend for this wine does change from year to year. We do a Bordeaux blend every year. So some years we have included Malbec in the past. We also have included Syrah in the past in this blend, but it is always primarily a Merlot blend. And with this, we're spending, like I said before, 2 weeks on the skins. You get that really nice, robust, big flavor, as well as that nice dark color in the red. And then this wine, after it completes its fermentation, spends about a year in oak. For our red wines, we're using primarily Hungarian Oak. So this is 100% Hungarian Oak aged. And with that, if you look at the different types of barrel oaks, you have American, French, and Hungarian. Hungarian is going to impart the lightest flavor profile. So with that, you're going to get really nice fruit-forward flavors with just very minimal oakiness. So because we are looking to do very food-friendly wines, we wanted to have all the benefits of oak aging. However, with a very reserved amount of that oakiness in the wine itself, which allows it to pair with a wider range of food options. So So
And
with
so
this, it does.
this is a Bordeaux blend. How many different grapes make up the composition of the Ember? Obviously, Merlot is the dominant one, but how many grapes and which ones
Yes.
are they?
So Ember is a blend of Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Petit Verdot. So we've got 4 varietals in this.
Yep.
From vintage to vintage, that does change. We'll go up to 5 in this wine. In years past, we have blended Malbec and Syrah in as well, but we always have at a minimum those 4 main varietals. It really depends on the individual vintage and what the crop that year looks like.
So for the casual wine drinkers, it's important to know that Bordeaux is not a type of grape. It is a style of wine, but it's a blend. It's a wine that's a blend of juice from usually 4 to 5 different grapes. And what Shelby just described is a typical configuration, perhaps not on the French side of the ocean, probably less on the Petit Verdot, but definitely the other ones. And so before we move on, I have a couple of more questions for you, and then I'd love to take any Q&A from folks who are watching. Tell us the quick picks for food pairing. What's the perfect dish to pair with that Pinot Grigio that we talked about a few minutes ago?
Sure. Pinot Grigio, for me, you can't go wrong with seafood. I think it's a really wide breadth of options. I tend to gravitate with the Pinot Grigio towards shrimp or fish. But beyond that, it goes really nicely with any lighter fare, chicken, salads, etc. I just recently had we did a nice, in our quarantine, we decided to have a little bit of a, celebration. You got to make days exciting when you're
Yes.
when you're at home every day.
Yes, you do.
So we did a cocktail hour the other day and had Pinot Grigio and shrimp cocktail, which is a fantastic pairing. But Pinot Grigio stands up really nicely with the wide breadth because it does have that bright acidity. It goes really nicely with a really broad range of cheeses. And then I think local seafood is always a win with that one.
Well, you just inspired me. I have to find some Pinot Grigio. We're having shrimp for dinner tonight, I'm told. So
Perfect.
We're gonna find some Pinot Grigio. Maybe I'll run up to the tasting room, place an order, and come pick it up. What about the rosé? What should we, if we get this awesome rosé in the cans or in the bottle, what should we pair it with, food-wise?
Sure. So my preference with rosé, obviously I think rosé goes with most everything, and I tend to just mainly go with rosé as a sipping wine. But if I'm pairing with food, I think lobster and rosé is one of my favorite pairings of all time. And again, leaning into this local seafood, being on the North Fork, seafood is, we're so lucky to have such an ample supply of amazing seafood. And I think lobster and rosé is always a fantastic choice. So that's generally, once it gets a little bit warmer, that is what I will be gravitating towards.
How can you go wrong with lobster? And the Ember, the Bordeaux blend, what should we pair with that?
Sure. So the Ember is a really fantastic pairing wine because it is a blend. Blends generally are quite more versatile as far as food pairings go. So anything, really anything that you would pair a red wine in general with, this pairs really nicely. So steak, burgers, pork, turkey, anything along those lines pairs really nicely. Again, I tend to, my absolute favorite with this wine is just sitting by, either in the winter, sitting by the fire inside, or in the warmer months, sitting by the fire pit outside with a glass of this. I think it pairs phenomenally just with some nice warm toasty vibes. But definitely heavier meats, stews, anything with a little bit more weight to it is going to pair really nicely with this wine.
Awesome. And all of these are available at suhruwines.com?
They're all available on our website, as well as we have a number of other wines that are available as well. These are 3 of our best sellers, which is why I chose to taste them today. But we do also make a Sauvignon Blanc, a dry Riesling, and a Shiraz. under the Suhru label, as well as the sparkling under the Suhru label. And then we also have a second label, Suhru Vineyards, which makes a number of reds as well.
Ah, so I didn't know that. So Tajara is actually a sub-label of Suhru?
Yes, yes, it is. So Tajara is doing all estate-grown Bordeaux red varietals.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a little bit difference in style, but it is another second label of Suhru.
Well, my compliments, because I love the Tajara selections as well.
Thank you.
I've been a fan of those for a number of years. Last question: do you have a wine club?
We do. We have a wine club with three levels. So for all of our wine club members, you get a wide variety of benefits. When the tasting room's open, you get a complimentary tasting for you and a guest once a month. You also get invitations to for you as well as 2 guests to our quarterly pickup parties, as well as wine club exclusives, private events, early access to releases, all those kinds of fun things. And then within that, we have 3 different levels to our club. We have our neighbors, friends, and family levels. So our neighbors club is 3 bottles of wine 4 times a year. And that gives you a 10% discount on those wines and any others throughout the year. We also have our next level up is going to be our friends level, which is 6 bottles at a 15% discount. And that gives you also the ability to pick and choose your wines. So with the 3 bottle level, that's going to be pre-selected throughout the year. But both our friends, which is 6 bottles, and our family, which is 12 bottles 4 times a year, both allow you the ability to customize. And our family levels gives you a 20% discount as well.
That's great. And what's the range of price points? And I know it probably depends on which wines you select, but what's the range from?
Sure. Sure. So our wines range in price. As far as the Suhru wines themselves go, they range from $18 to $29 a bottle. So they're pretty affordable across the board. And so with that, the wine club pricing really depends on which wines you choose. Yep. But generally for the neighbors level, the 3 bottles, that's going to be about $50 to $60 per shipment. The friends level, the next level up is going to be around $150, and then the top level, our family level, is going to be around $200 plus, depending on the wines that you choose.
Got it. And is it plus shipping or inclusive of shipping?
It is plus shipping. So we do.
But again, you have that great shipping
yes.
Cost. So how much does it cost to ship if I'm a friend's member?
So at the moment, we are doing free shipping for all wine club members. So at the moment, there's no shipping costs at all. And then when we go back, it really does depend on where you live. But generally, our shipping prices are pretty low across the board. So it's really not a very high cost.
Well, send me all the details on that $10 shipping, because we'll post that in the postmortem of our session today.
Will do.
So last but not least, I don't think we have any Q&A questions this afternoon, but if anybody does, please raise your hand in the Q&A box now, and Shelby can answer anything related to Suhru wines. If not, we have thoroughly enjoyed this tour, this virtual visit and day trip to wine country to Suhru. And we're looking forward to spending more time enjoying the wines, but also when things are back to normal, coming to the tasting house.
Looking forward to it. Thank you. This has been so much fun. And sorry again for my little bit of technical problems in the beginning, but we got it all sorted out.
No, we did some tap dancing, and everybody was very accommodating. So thank you to those of you who tuned in. We will be making a video on demand of this session and virtual day trip to wine country, and we'll be posting it on New York Wine Events site and through the socials, and it'll live on in evergreen state. So
Wonderful.
thanks, everybody. Thank you, Shelby.
Thank you. This has been a lot of fun.
Stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you soon.
You too.
Okay. Take care now.
Bye-bye.